A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir la'inir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Dear viewers, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another podcast episode. In this episode, we're going to be discovering the Hawza life. We're going to be looking at family dynamics. We're going to be looking at, or we'll be answering the question, Qum or Najaf. We will be looking at what do these Hawza students really do in Hawza. Are they like saints always sitting in caves just worshipping? Or do they have a fun life? Do they have a social life? And to answer these questions, we have with us none other than Sheikh Brother Ali al-Mahdi Karim, who is a student of the Hawza as well. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
You're a student at the Hawza, 7 years or so?
About 5 years.
7 years. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. My name is Ali al-Mahdi Karim. I am originally from Moshi, Tanzania. Born there, lived there for about a year and a half. And then my family relocated to Dar es Salaam. So I am a Dar boy through and through. Born in Moshi, but the rest of my life has been here. I have grown up in the society of Dar es Salaam, in the culture of Dar es Salaam, having a youthful experience, same as every other Dar youth has. Then I moved to Najaf in 2018. And during COVID, back 2 years, I was back in Dar es Salaam. So about 5 to 6 years, I've been in Najaf now.
Amazing. So you've grown up in Dar es Salaam?
Grown up in Dar es Salaam, most of my life here as well.
Interesting. So you know all of these like Dar es Salaam spots and like Natasha barbecue and all of that.
Yes, Natasha, Pappu's, everything.
We will talk about this in the like upcoming minutes. But did you miss that when you were in Hawza?
There's one thing I missed, and that was gajar chicken. Because that's one thing you can't get. You can get the pizzas there, you can get the burgers there, but gajar chicken's a bit difficult to find there. So there'll be times, actually there was once that I called home and I was like, if anybody's coming, can you please send gajar chicken? Unfortunately, it was not possible.
Wait, you can do that actually?
I mean, you need the ice bag and be able to put the...
When you grew up in Dar, I mean, it's not very typical for a Dar person or a person who growing up to say that I want to go into Hawza. Was that always something that you had in mind, that I want to go into Hawza?
Well, you know, in our Khoja families, growing up, it's either engineer or doctor.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that also played a part. I had this idea of engineer, doctor. I was not interested in biology that much, so doctor was put aside. I was engineer, more into leaning into the tech world, so software, hardware, all this area. However, when I was in around grade 8 madrasa, we had one of the visiting scholars who was a young scholar, and he used to come up for Shahr Ramadan Darsa question and answer session after the majlis. So I would go to him every single day, and I'd have a list of questions based on the Quran recitation I'd done over the last few days. I'd gather questions after reading tafsir, young class 8 boy, and I'd ask him my stupid questions. And he gave up his time every single day after the session to sit and answer those questions. And I think by night 12 or 13, he must have grown tired of me, because he turned to Malim Nur Ali one of the days and he's like, I want to meet his dad. And
that's not a good sign.
But he met my dad, and he told my dad that send him to Karbala. I'm in Karbala studying, send him to Karbala and I will take care of him there. Obviously, as grade 8 boy, it's what, 13, 12? It's a bit too young for that. So I pushed it. I said, let me finish my O-levels, then let me finish my A-levels. And then eventually, after I did my first year in my degree, the situation changed and the opportunity arose to move to Najaf. So I moved to Najaf, alhamdulillah.
But what would you say pulled you to Najaf? I mean, we'd spoken earlier and you said that you were in the tech department. You'd done a bachelor's degree, I think, in business technology or something like that?
So I was pursuing a bachelor's in business IT. However, 1 year through, I managed to go to Ziyara for the first time to Iraq. And I still remember the first time I looked at the shrine of Imam Ali, and it was the opening of the new dome, 2016 December, and I had a lot of wishes. But I asked Imam Ali for two things. I asked him to sort out my life, and I asked him to come for Ziyara every single year. And I come back from that and my college closes down. And the first thing I'm thinking is, Imam Ali, I asked you to sort out my life. Instead of sorting it out, you've made a mess of it. The college is closed down. But less than a year later, I'm in ziyarah for Arba'in again, and out of nowhere, all these situations came together, where somebody sends me a poster that Najaf is looking for Hawza students, English speaking. I get another poster saying that this is the place, it's right next to the shrine. At the same time, I'm going to ziyarah for Arba'in, so I get to check it out as well. And all the Lego pieces just fit in perfectly. And there I am. Imam Ali has sorted out my life, and instead of getting a ziyarah every year, I get a ziyarah every single day of Imam Ali. So it's played a massive role in my life.
Oh, mashallah. And you'd say then, you take back what you said, that Imam Ali is like, instead of sorting my life, if you made a mess of it, that's...
So sometimes when you're playing this game of Lego and you force the wrong piece in order to fit the right piece, you need to first remove the wrong piece. You need to undo the thing, and that undoing makes a damage it hurts the Legos. It does, and you have to go through that in order to fix it. So perhaps that is what Allah was doing and what Imam Ali was facilitating.
Amazing. So then in the grander scheme of things, or in the bigger picture, that's basically Imam Ali saying, now this is how the life should be, technically.
Perhaps, yeah, or at least for me, that is what he expects from me. Perhaps, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So you didn't always want to be a Hawza student before, obviously, this aspect, right?
I mean, before grade 8, no. But after grade 8, I had this thought at the back of my head that Hawza is a real option. It was always that, let me finish O-levels and then I will look into it. Let me finish A-levels and then I will look into it. Let me get my degree and then I will look into it. And when I went to Imam Ali, he's like, don't finish your degree. Look into it right now.
You have your timetable and he has his.
He has his timetable.
So tell me about like your life over there. Is it, so people have this misconception that when you go to Hawza, it's always like, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allahumma salli ala, at full time, like it's always dhikr in your mouth, and it's always, very, it's spiritually uplifting, but then there's not really much fun. So is that how Hawza really is? Can you tell us a little bit about like the fun things that you do, what you do during your free time, and how people spend their free time generally in Hawza?
So there's this quote that they usually say that if you work in what you love, you've never spent a day working, because it's a hobby that you're doing throughout your life. Najaf is something like that. It's a very traditional cultural style of Hawza, where ideally, yes, you would see people with their tasbih, subhanallah, subhanallah, astaghfirullah, praying their namaz. You come at 4 o'clock, you'll see a lot of people praying namaz al-shab, all of that stuff. It's there. But at the same time, they enjoy doing that. It's not just that because religion has asked me to do it, that's why I'm doing it. They enjoy. Nobody would wake up at 4 a.m. because they wanted to. I lived in Dar es Salaam. We had our school starting at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to wake up at 6. I used to hate it. At the moment in Najaf, my first class starts at 6:30. In the winter, that is before sunrise. 6:30, the class starts. I'm in class at 6:30. There's not one day you'll find me complaining that I woke up so early today. Because when you love doing what you're doing, you don't spend the day working, basically. You don't spend the day thinking about it. So the weekdays, a lot of it is like that, where you start your classes at 6:30 and you have back-to-back classes. Perhaps you might have a 10-minute break or just a break enough to move from one class to the next, because the classes in Najaf are not in one centralized location. It's a very traditional thing where you sit on the floor with your teacher and study. So some teachers prefer doing it in the shrine of Imam Ali, which most of my classes in the first 2 or 3 years were in the shrine of Imam Ali, sitting on the floor in the sahan.
For like half an hour, right?
40 minutes, but back-to-back classes. So I'd have 3 classes like that. 4 classes. So this is one location of classes. The other location is there's Madrasat Dar al-Ilm of Sayyid Khou'i. I think one of the groups that went for ziyarah during Arba'in managed to go and see it. Wonderful facility.
They mentioned, yeah, I heard stories, like it's like, like you're in heaven or something.
Yeah, it's
really
a
nice
proper
place,
5-star, better than Kasradur type of accommodation. There's a dorm and there's the classes area as well. A lot of the ulama teach their Bahath Kharij classes there.
And that's like a hostel for Hawza students.
Yeah. So it's dorm for Hawza students. At the same time, they have classrooms. But the likes of Sayyid Munir Khabbaz, Sayyid Ja'far Hakim, Sayyid Hussein Hakim, may Allah prolong all their lives, they teach their Bahath Kharij classes there as well. And then there's the regular classes for students that want to attend classes there. Apart from that, there's the old traditional Masjid Hindi Masjid Hindi, as Indians, we should be proud that it's called Hindi, was a mosque that was gifted to Sayyid Muhsin al-Hakim. And he's buried on the other side of the mosque. So a lot of the Hakim family students and teachers teach there as well.
In Hindi?
In Masjid Hindi.
Okay, Masjid Hindi. They teach in Arabic, though.
They teach in Arabic. All classes are in Arabic. So the class timetable from 6 in the morning, all the way to Dhuhr time, it's either back to back or you get a 10-minute break. And then after Dhuhr, usually people now start, just as Dhuhr is approaching, they start winding down. Some of them that stay away from the shrine area, they start going back home. Some people wait for Salah, pray Salah in the shrine, and then go home. Some people have mubahathat, so they just take a break for Salah, and then, so after Salah, then the official schedule is now clear. So now it's your stuff. What do you want to do? So with me, for example, thrice a week I have Nahj al-Balagha after Salat al-Dhuhr. Once a week we have a Masa'ib class where we have a teacher who gives us the authentic Masa'ib and how to deliver the Masa'ib to get that emotion, what type of poetry to use, what type of things to say, what type of things not to say, and general lecturing guidelines as well. And then we have every week one of us lectures as well. So it gives a proper practice. This it's basically considered an extracurricular class. It's not something Najaf officially gives you. And then we have Nahj al-Balagha classes thrice a week, where for once of those classes, we look at the hikmah at the end of Nahj al-Balagha. And we break down every hikmah of Imam Ali, and we look at how the hikmah has been spoken about by Imam Ali, why he uses specific words, why his tone is in a specific way, what he actually means. We look at all these possibilities. Twice a week, the Nahj al-Balagha class, we look at sermons. And we look at the story or the scenario around the sermon. Why did Imam Ali deliver this sermon? So for example, Sheikh Shakia, why did he deliver it? Why is it that he says that this is like the sneezing of a camel? What is the similarity? And all of these stuff. And this is thrice a week. So 4 days a week after regular classes, we have an extracurricular class. For the 5th day, because the 5th day is Wednesday, it's now the start of our weekend. So this is now... Okay, so in Najaf, like most Arab countries, the week is Saturday to Wednesday.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, you have 5 days. Okay. So you have extra holidays.
No.
I was like, that's
same
not
5
fair.
days. Same 5 days, just that instead of the holiday weekend being Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, it's Thursday, Friday. Okay. So Wednesday evening for us is like Friday evening for a regular person in Dar. Okay. So that is when now we tone down the studying, we tone down the mubahatha that we have, we tone down the discussion circles, and now we lay back. So Thursdays we usually go to Karbala. We go for ziyarah, and we maybe might go for food as well at the same time, and we'll make the most of it. So if it's a happy occasion, we'll go to Karbala and we'll celebrate there. If it's a sad occasion, obviously, then you go and recite majlis, attend a majlis or two. This is Thursday. Then Friday, usually if we have football, we plan to go for football then.
So you do play football?
Oh, yes. You can't forget football. Football is a world-loved sport. So we have extracurriculars like football then, or if we want to play FIFA, there's once we actually went to play Call of Duty as well. I didn't know I'd find a place in Najaf where PlayStation has Call of Duty, but you do find it. Wow. So we have that element on the weekends.
So wait, so you have even scholars who play FIFA?
And they're very good at it. I know a scholar who beat me so bad that nobody else that I've played with in Tanzania has beaten me that bad. Wow. In Tanzania, I used to think I was a good player. I went there and he humbled me like 5 or 6 in the first half. To the point, I still remember one of the games when we started, the guy he was playing against tells him, you're not allowed to change your tactics in the game. No team management, nothing. You pick a team and start with the team. And then he still got, he properly lost.
Properly lost how much?
About 6 or 7 maybe. Wow. He properly lost without any of the tactics change. So you have scholars who play very good FIFA as well, very good Call of Duty. So to answer your question, no, Najaf is not all boring, just tasbih. That element is the biggest part, because you don't become a scholar without that element. Yeah. So that element is the biggest part where people are serious and focused on their studies, but there is the element of relieving stress as well.
So they also teach you balance, basically, to have that serious aspect of your life and then also have that relaxed aspect of your life. And you don't have to have both of them at the same time, but you have a specific time for each.
Yeah, for sure. Because when I say football, by the way, it's not just colleagues playing football. I've played football with my teachers. I still remember one of my teachers fouled me on my ankle, and I was like, if you're not my teacher, I'd have come back and given you qisas of this. I'll come back and punish you.
It's a game, I mean, you can, no?
So he actually got afraid that I'm going to actually do it. But I play football with my teachers. So it's not something that is just because we're young, so we want to do it. No, the teachers play football with us. And it's something very normal. There's once we went to the restaurant, to one of the hotels with one of our senior scholars, because we had a lot of questions, and we were going to the restaurant, and he's like, I'll come with you. It was a hotel, not a regular restaurant, so it was a bit more low-key. But he came, he sat with us, he answered our questions, but senior scholar sat with us and went out and sat in a restaurant, something that I think 200 years ago, Najaf would not have been very accepting of it. So it's a right balance. They teach us the right balance, that there's time for studies and there's time for fun as well.
Burning question. Najaf or Qum? Why did you pick Najaf? And why should someone who is looking into Hawza, what should they have in mind between Najaf and Qum?
So for me, there's multiple aspects. First of all, I am a muqallid of Sayyid Sistani. May Allah prolong his life. Sayyid Sistani is based in Najaf. So I would obviously, if I want to establish myself as a student and I want to get the best access to my marja, it's going to be through Najaf. Yes, there is access from the Qum side as well, but Najaf is direct access to the marja.
And you directly go to the marja?
So not to the
whenever you feel
marja, but I'm able to see his son. There's times you'll be walking and you'll see his son pass by. And a lot of these programs that are organized, his sons attend. So it's direct access to at least the marja's sons who run the office. This is one aspect. The other aspect for me was that ever since I was a kid, Arabic has been my go-to. It's the language of the Quran, it's the language of the prophets, it's the language of the imams. So I wanted to learn that language primarily. And ideally, obviously, Qum teach you that language, but not enough to be fluent in it. You're able to understand it, you might be able to read it, but you won't be able to teach, to speak it or teach in it. So with me, that was another priority as well. Thirdly was the political aspect. I, like my marja, am a bit reserved on politics. There's not everything that he speaks about. He selects his moments and speaks about those moments. And playing a part, playing in his footsteps, following him as my marja, I wanted something similar. Karbala had a very bad political aspect of it, and Qum was also extra politicized. I wanted to stay out of politics, because usually what happens is if you go to Karbala, then people start branding you as one of those. And if you go to Qum, then people start branding you as one of those, which is something very wrong. I chose Najaf because I did not want to be branded as well. That's one of the other reasons. The fourth reason is that Najaf is a very classical Hawza. In Najaf itself, and I think in Qum as well, they call Najaf al-Hawza, the mother of the Hawzas. That every Hawza that was established, whenever it was established, Baghdad is one of the oldest Hawzas, Qum is one of the oldest Hawzas, but there came a time when they stopped being a Hawza, they stopped being an epicenter of Shiaism. Najaf, since it was established 1,000 years ago, has never stopped being the epicenter. Hawza classes, be it COVID, be it Daesh, be it the recent attacks, everything that goes on, whatever happens, Najaf Hawza still runs. It's something that's been happening for the last 1,000 years. And they have maintained their old cultural values, where the classes are you sit on the floor, just you and your teacher, not 200 students, not 20 students. You sit two of you and you get the class. Najaf has maintained that, so this was one of the reasons I chose. However, there are people who prefer Qum, and there's multiple reasons why they prefer Qum. First of all, again, because Najaf is more classical, that means Qum is more modern. Perhaps they have a better, they prefer modern learning. Sitting in a classroom with a table and a chair, perhaps. If somebody prefers that, yes, Qum has better opportunities for that. Najaf does have that, but not as much. Qum has better opportunities. If somebody's married, for family life, I have heard, Qum is better, because there's more things to do. So again, coming back to that, if somebody wants to be a bit more relaxed and more calm, Qum has more stuff to do when you're relaxing. Najaf has stuff to do, but not as much. Qum has more stuff to do when you're relaxing, and with Qum, the struggle is there. Any Hawza has its struggle, but from what I have heard, Qum's struggle is a bit less than the Najaf struggle. So I guess if I had known that, perhaps I might have picked a different side.
And in terms of food?
So I absolutely hate Iraqi food. I mean, at least I hated it when I first came. A bit of it, I've gotten used to it. I still remember the first day I arrived to Najaf, and I went to the school, the dorm, to eat, and they had this type of kebab, and I could not taste meat in the kebab. It was just bread. And it didn't taste that good. And yeah,
And that's the struggle.
and I stood up and I went to the shrine, and I was like, Imam Ali, I have a lot of things to thank you for, but just now I want to complain to you. And I want to complain to you about three things. I have come to a place I don't like their food. I've come to a place, I don't speak their language. I've come to a place, I don't know anybody here. All I know is, I know you, that's enough. You speak the language, and I'm sure you're going to sort out my food. 3 things. And I cried when I told him that. Because entering a completely foreign place with no language, no food, and no people to interact with.
I was actually going to ask you, like, what was your experience in that regard? Like, you don't know anyone at all, you don't know their language, and I don't know how long did it take you to learn
So,
Arabic?
Arabic itself, because I picked it up from the market. I'm an introverted person, by the way. But I had to go out of my comfort zone and interact with people in the market to pick it up. It took me about 6 months. Again, unlike Najaf does not have formal language classes. At least back then they did not. At the moment they do have a few. Back then they did not have formal language classes.
So you enter the house and they start teaching you content, but it's
So
in Arabic and
ideally
you
that
don't know
is the
what.
style, but I was lucky enough that I met Sayyid Ali Khoui, the grandson of the late Ayatollah Sayyid Abul Qasim al-Khoui, may Allah rest his soul in peace. I met with him and he studied in the UK. So he spoke English. So he volunteered to teach me the beginning books in English as well as Arabic. So he'd read it in Arabic, then explain it in English. And then slowly over time, we transitioned to a way where he'd read it in Arabic, explain it in Arabic, then whatever I haven't understood in English. And then slowly he transitioned it fully to Arabic. He was one of the people who accepted me and like took me under his wing back then when I first came. So back then, no language, no food, no friends. But I knew Imam Ali. So Imam Ali took care of me. Through him, I got introduced to Sayyid Ali Khoui. I met him at the shrine of Imam Ali, randomly. I'm headed to one of my classes and I see Ali Khoui.
How do you know him?
So he looks, I've shown a picture and I met him before, but I see him and he's like, you're here. And we introduce ourselves and he's like, oh, I studied in the UK, I don't mind teaching you. So we set up a class in the shrine. So my first class was also in the shrine, under tutelage of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And through him and through other people around the area, I learned the language. Slowly, a lot of people from the West started coming in. So I met with one of my other teachers, Said Hussein Hakim, who was from Dubai, from UK. He came in. We had Sheikh Akil Hassan, who came from Scotland as well. So slowly, I started integrating with these people from the West, and we ended up building a whole community. At the moment, I think we have about 70 people. English is the first language. English is the first language, not English speaking. English is the first language. English speaking, we have much more. When I first came, based on my timeline, there were 2 of us who spoke English. Me and Sheikh Imran Saleh. And then within a few weeks, Sheikh Akil also came, but I didn't know him back then. So back then, I knew just 2 of us that are English as the first language, me and Sheikh Imran Saleh. And out of nowhere now, 6 years on, we've got about 70 people that speak English as a first language. Najaf back then also, I used to be in the Wilaya only, the Haram area, where the food is the regular food that you get, kebab, shawarma, keema, that's it. Maybe you'll get fasoli.
People say Arab food like the short.
Shawarma is good, not the one around the shrine, bro. The one around the shrine is not good. That's a gateway to sicknesses.
And then you have the gateway to Shafa.
But eventually, after you start learning the language, you can catch a cab and go somewhere. So you slowly start finding out the other restaurants outside. So at the moment, for example, we found out wonderful burger spots. I was just talking to one of the brothers the other day that come to Najaf and I'm there. If you want actual good shawarma, I'll take you to a good shawarma spot outside. I'm there, you let me know. You liaise with me, you call me, I'll take you. I'll take you to a good shawarma spot if you want. If you want to go to a good burger spot, I can take you. A good pizza spot. When I say good pizza spot, I don't mean like Pizza Hut kind. I'm talking about authentic Italian pizza.
So you have Italians in Iraq, or just Iraqis learned how to make Italian pizza?
I think they might have brought an Italian to teach them and then they dipped. I've seen a few Chinese though, speaking Arabic as well. It's very interesting. I saw a few Chinese speaking Arabic. But generally, we have even a Japanese restaurant. We have an Afghani restaurant. We have Iranian restaurants. So we have restaurants of everywhere, apart from Tanzania. I guess I call out to anybody who wants to open a restaurant in Tanzania. I'm missing gajar chicken, so please come through. But we have food. Now there has been development in the food circle. So the 3 things that I actually complained to Imam Ali about, he sorted out. 70 English-speaking people who speak my language. I got the language within 6 months, and the food has been very good now. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. You said I come to Najaf, I give you a cold pizza, burgers. I think there'll be 1,000 people viewing this video. You get 1,000 phone calls.
That's not open invitation.
Okay, so your parents, obviously, the scholar came and spoke to your parents, just like you mentioned, and then told your parents that that you should go to Hawza. So your parents were supportive of that?
So for anybody who knows my family, knows that my family is a relatively religious family. My mom has been teaching in the madrasa since she was 14. That's over 40 years. My dad has been involved in the community ever since he moved to Dar es Salaam in 1999.
Wow, I wasn't even born then.
Yeah, he's been part of WIPAS, and then he was part of Africa Federation. He's part of Bilal at the moment as well. They've both been involved. And involved religiously as well. So my mom attended Hawza for a year or two in Arusha in Tanzania. And she's been part of Madrasat al-Zahra as well, attending as well as teaching. So my family has this religious background. So obviously I was following their footsteps. My curiosity to ask questions and everything comes from the fact that they allowed me to think about religion and they allowed me to explore religion. I think that's the biggest ni'mah that Allah can give a family, is that the parents are such that they allow you to explore and allow you to think about your religion. So when they allowed me to think, every question was, there was no, this is a red line, don't ask questions about this. I never had that. I asked every question and I got every answer. And when they were unable to answer, that is when I would go to a scholar and ask questions. There was a time where I had a set of questions where no scholar was accessible to ask. A set of 25 questions that I had on my phone. That was one of the motivating factors for me as well to go to Hawza. That I have a set of questions I don't have anybody to answer. And if I have these questions, I know other people have these questions. So if I'm not getting answers, other people aren't getting answers. I should be able to be that person who can give those answers. This is one. With my family, initially when they sent me out, my plan was not to stay this long. My plan was 3 years. Back then, from the outside, it seems as though 3 years is enough to become a scholar. But once you're in, 3 years flies by. And if you were to ask me, I'd be like, okay, I have learned and I've changed, but I don't think it's enough. It's not enough for me to go back and start telling people do this and do that when I've just studied for 3 years. You get me? So I wanted to extend the 3 year. So I had to sit with my father, and I told him, and I told my mom as well, that look, I know initially I told you 3 years, but 3 years is not sufficient for me. I need to stay there for 10 years at least. At least 10 years. At the bare minimum, I need 10 years. If it is on me, obviously Allah has better plans. If He decides to change it, that's on Him. But for me, if I want to make the most benefit, minimum I need to be there for 10 years. And my dad had just one issue. He's like, as long as you get married, you can stay there. And he's like, finances, I will sort you out. So Shahriya is a stipend that every Hawza student gets. Every month, they get a certain amount based on their level of studies. So if you're a Muqaddamat student, for example, you get a certain amount. If you're married, it's a bit more. If you are a Mu'ammam wearing the amama, it's a bit more than that. So every level has different stipend amounts. You complete the exam. Once you've cleared the exam, you're deserving of that stipend. World Federation also gives the stipend. Smaller amount, but they give a stipend as well. Again, married, not married, and different levels. But my family has been very, very supportive, to the point that when I'm talking to some of my friends and I see them struggling, it actually hurts me. That God has blessed me so much, alhamdulillah, where He's opened all the doors for me, and He's placed the rizq open, and He's given me parents who, from the get-go, they allowed me to ask questions that made me come into this path. And then once I'm here, they are ready to support me for as long as I need. So it's a ni'mah. My family has been very supportive. In fact, including my brother, who, when my dad had to stop the business and like retire and go full time into Bilal, my brother had to take over the business. Even though that's not something he studied, he took it over because there was nobody else to do it. Perhaps if I was there, I would have. So it's not just my parents who have sacrificed, it's the whole family that have sacrificed to allow me to live this beautiful journey.
Amazing, amazing. And would you recommend that people do go to the Hawza to study? And why so? Like, should everyone go to the Hawza? If everyone goes to the Hawza, then who will make your gajjar?
Fair enough. Just the way we don't tell everybody to become a doctor, we don't tell everybody to go to Hawza. However, Hawza is not something just for scholars. There are levels of Hawza. So for example, at the moment, World Federation is offering the Hawza online. Many of us have attended it. A lot of us have heard of it as well. somebody who goes through modules of that, for example, at least they're investing into their Islamic future. They're putting in time into their future. Because with the way the world is going, with social media at the moment, people are asking questions. And the first person they ask questions to is their parents. So if you're not able to answer your own kids' questions, it becomes an issue. Where your son comes to you, your daughter comes to you and asks you, why do I wear hijab? And you don't have the answer of that. You end up creating problems. So at least these bare minimum information that is required, seek it. Howza is not possible, you have other ways. Sit with a scholar, discuss with a scholar, have seminars, have sessions with a scholar where you can get these types of information. However, if you're somebody who wants to look into this journey and wants to better themselves and their family, or for example, most of the time this is what happens in the West, where they don't want to live in that environment anymore. They're tired of it. They want to live in an Islamic environment. They're tired of living in a place where everything is forced to them and shoved down their throat. They want to move from there into an Islamic environment where they're free to practice Islam. Move to Najaf. Move to Qom. It's a more free area. So moving to Najaf or Qom is not just for Hawza. You can move just so that you're in the Islamic environment. But some people know, they want to not only make themselves better, they want to have an impact on the community. And we have a lot of narrations, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدٍ خَيْرًا تَفَقَّهَهَا فِي الدِّينِ. That if Allah wishes good for a servant, He makes him strive in religion, makes him become a faqih in religion. And so it's one of the best paths. Again, not for everyone, but for those that are able to do it, who have supportive families, that are willing to sacrifice for their kids to go into this way, I would definitely tell them to look into it. Obviously, for everyone, Najaf might not be the option. Perhaps it's Qom. It's better than nothing. For some, they might be more looking towards the serious life. They don't want Qom. Najaf is an option. Don't look at it as it's Qom or nothing, or it's Najaf or nothing. It's not that way. There's many houses throughout the world, primarily in the Middle East. Look at every option. Yes, rank them down based on how much you desire them and how much the scenario allows you to, but don't say that it's either Qom or nothing, or it's either Najaf or nothing.
And there are multiple different scholars also who started off in Najaf, for example, and then continued in Qom, or vice versa, started off in Qom, went to Najaf after.
We have a lot of them. Biggest one of them is our current living marja, may Allah prolong his life, Sheikh Aly Sistani. He started in Mashhad and Qom, and then he moved to Najaf. He moved to Najaf just before his Ba'ath Kharij. So it is something that's very normal. Sayyid Khoi officially started his houses perhaps like deep into his houses in Najaf, but he started in Qom as well. So it is something that is very normal for Hawzawis, that you start in Najaf, move to Qom, start in Qom, move to Najaf. It's very normal. You can even try and go to Qom and see if it doesn't suit you, move to Najaf. I know someone, one of the resident alims of one of our jama'as, that he was in Najaf initially, stayed there for 2 years, then he got married, and the ISIS attack happened at the same time. So he was caught between two stuff. Either I leave because my family is going to be more comfortable back home, and ISIS has attacked, or no, I just relocate from Najaf to Qom. So he relocated to Qom, and he was there for a good 8-10 years in Qom. So it's something that's normal. You can go experiment, see if Najaf is your thing, see if Qom is your thing, switch to the other place, take a look. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you have that sacrifice from your family, you are ready to make that sacrifice yourself, you have the support of your family, move to Hawza.
But people also believe that is this misconception, maybe if you can, bust that myth. It's that when you go to Hawza, the only thing that you can become is Maulana. You can't really, you go to Hawza to become Maulana. You don't go to Hawza just to better yourself. That's not the case, right?
Actually, if you look at the advice from the office of Sayyid Sistani, I think they launched this advice, not the Muharram that passed, the Muharram before that, where Sayyid Muhammad Rida in one of his Ba'ath Kharij classes at the end, and then they released it as a statement from the office. He says that the easiest thing for a Hawza student is tabligh. That should not be the priority at all. Priority, become a mujtahid. You are not able to become a mujtahid, become a researcher. You are not able to become a researcher, do this. You are not able to do that, do this. You are not able to do any of these, okay, you can enter tabligh then. So tabligh is looked at one of the low ones. For a lot of people, I want to become a Maulana. It's a big thing. But once you get into Hawza, you will see that there's so many things you could do. So many. I have a friend who has done law, and he says, I came into Hawza with my law background. It makes me think of so many other things I could do once I go back. Another person tells you, I'm reading marriage and family life and family law, so that when I go back, I don't want to become just a khatib, I want to become a counselor, a marriage counselor, an Islamic marriage counselor. You have somebody else who says that I've read books and I see that there's a gap in this area that I can fill in. So I know somebody who's written 2 books. One just released a few days ago. He's written a book on the Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein, but a reciter's guide. So it's very small, 20 pages, 30 pages. Now he's written a Maqtal of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So the guide to the death of the custodian. Same, 20, 30 pages, filling a gap. Where we don't have something authentic, he's filling in a gap, providing something authentic, something that is easy to read, accessible to everyone. With me personally, for example, I went into research, and I've been doing research for the last year, 2 years now, and it's making me grow as well. So there's a lot of things that people can do. It's not always becoming a khatib, becoming a lecturer. Lecturer is one of the ways, but there's much more you can do. With you could become a teacher, you could become a representative of a madrasa, you could become Imam al-Jama'ah. These are all secondary stuff, but primarily mujtahid. Become a mujtahid if you have the ability. We could get a first khoja mujtahid.
Amazing. Inshallah, that's you.
I
do
don't
your
think
taqlid
I'll
for
have
sure.
the-
So we're running out of time. One last thing before we actually end is, can you give, from all of your experience and all of the knowledge that you've gained, can you give one advice to the viewers in regards to Hawza? Any one advice?
Hawza is a wajib kifa'i, and it is something that is necessary for every community. Based on our research and analysis, for every 1,000 people, we need one Hawza student who has reached a high level, that is studied 7 years at least. For every 1,000 people. Our communities are huge. We don't have the numbers. We have a lot of doctors. We have a lot of nurses. We have a lot of pharmacists. We have a lot of engineers. We have a lot of people going into AI as well. But we do not have enough people going into Hawza. It doesn't matter if it is Najaf or Qum. It matters if it is Hawza though. Thank you.
Ahsan, Jazakallah. Thank you so much. If anyone sees you in the mosque, is it okay if they approach you and ask you questions? Inshallah. Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching this video. We hope you got something out of it. I definitely did. And inshallah, see you in the next episode. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.